This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're going to
Hello,
see the,
Kaushik. Are you able to hear?
now I'm able to hear you.
Yeah. Actually, we were facing one problem, like issue. Have you resolved that? Calendar one?
And I
You
could
told
not,
you'll be resolving and tell us.
no, I could not because I told you I was not there because of some
Okay.
operation.
Okay. Actually, you had told that you'll be starting at 3 o'clock in the beginning, and now it has become like 4:30.
Tomorrow onwards we can start at 3:30 actually, the usual time. Today I just reached office, that's why a lot of there.
Okay, because we'll be having some other commitments due to which we'll be waiting for your
Yeah,
link.
yeah,
You had told that you will be there by 4 and you have sent it so late. So that please, this should not
yeah, yeah.
happen for the
We'll
next
make
time.
it clear from tomorrow onwards. 3:30 is the usual time, so we can do that.
Okay, you told you'll be compensating the one for last
Yeah,
week. When will
yeah,
you
you
do that?
can do that so that I can take a stretch from 6:30 to 5:30, 6 o'clock onwards. That's it. Try to
Okay.
compensate and session.
So it will not be possible in the morning session.
Morning it is not possible because completely my this thing has changed. The project has changed and these guys wants a meeting in the morning times which goes up to 12:30, 1 o'clock.
Okay.
So that is the problem I said. So 3:30 onwards we can start it off and we can basically look at the fact that we can stretch up to 5:30.
Will you just look into the error, like issue what we were facing,
Yeah, today I
calendar,
will look
and
at the
let us
error.
know by tomorrow?
Yeah, I will look at the error today and let us see what is the problem.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay, this is nothing but the concept of your modifying your test object and runtime. And if you look at this particular PPT, basically you can add a new property in runtime while creating the test object. Okay, you can remove the property in runtime. You can update an existing property in runtime. And this is generally needed when you find that the property value that you have used or the property that you have used. Properties can be your ID, class, XPath, CSS selector, etc. So those property and their values are not working fine. So probably you can add a new property while creating the test object. We're going to remove the property. If it is not working at runtime, we're going to update the existing property at runtime. So property of the test object means, as I've told you, is ID, CSS class, XPath. All those things are considered a property. On modifying the test object, it will not change the test object present in the object repository. Instead, it is going to create a copy of that particular thing. So we'll see that. In fact, I've created the script. I created it in my laptop to send this in this particular laptop. Just need to open it up. Downloads. Modifying test objects. Okay, first of all, I've opened up your Bugzilla. I'm doing a quick search, enter a bug or some other items that you want to enter. So you can do a quick search out here. So for that, I will create the script first. I'll call this test case as modified test. So these are all part of your advancement. Okay, it is coming like this. What's the problem? New folder, modify test object one. And I'm gonna copy this, cut it out, paste it inside this. Okay, if I can copy it from here. I'll restart it. Okay, well, first we will see how to add an object to it. So this is a particular script which will consist of. Why this is not opening? Okay, then I have to add it manually. Sometimes it creates stupid kind of problem. This has a lot of bugs, this present version. Anyway, let me add it out. I have to add it again. Open, then maximize the window. And then navigate. The URL is this. And so as I just write down I'll have to get the X path of this. Okay, let me create the object repository for this. Should be your ID attribute below the quick search main. So I can send keys to this object before adding any other property. So I'm showing you add property, right? And let's say it is working or not, then we can go forward. Before adding, it is writing down. Okay. I can write down anything out here. Before adding is basically before adding a property to this test object. That is what I'm trying to show. Okay, this is the script mode out here. If you look at the script mode, this is the script that is contained send keys find test object, right? So this is test object and its property in object repository. Now what I will do is that I will show you one thing out here, adding another property to it. So already if you look at there is a ID property added to it. Just now you saw. If you go to the manual mode, I have used here send keys search box by ID it is. I will add one more property at runtime. So I can basically go out here and go to the script mode and show you how to do it at runtime. How do you add one more property to the same object? So I'll write down test object. I'll call this reference as new object is equal to, I don't have to use send keys find test object. Only this portion. this portion. I'll add it and put it to this object. This is null. Control Shift. And add a property to this. Find test object returns test object. So this reference has to be used. New object. New object dot something called as add property. New object dot so by this object we are adding it out. If I go to the manual mode, what I generally do, I will tell you that. Send keys. Let me remove this. Script is removed. There is something called as add. Oops. There's a lot of problem in this. Katalon. The add property dialog box will display. Click on the add command. Test object reader. Click on add command. What's the put this find method to a reference called new object, and then add property. Why? Where was it? I do not know. So there are a couple of add property methods. There are three overloading methods of add property. I will use the third one: string name, condition type, string value, and boolean. This one. I'll tell you one by one. The first argument is the property that you want to add. To add apart from ID property, which is existing. ID property is existing. How do I know? If you search edit box is found out by the ID property. Okay, that is the first argument. The second argument will take condition type. If you look at condition type is not recognized, so what you can do is you can basically do Control Shift O. Now it's you the underline has gone. See, if you look at what I did is condition type was not imported. If I use Control Shift O, sometimes you will see underlines. Underline means if I remove it, I'll show it one day, because you have to work with sometimes with your code. You cannot simply say that you cannot work with codes. Katalon also sometimes need codes. So for example, if you look at, there is a red underline. So underline means some packages and their class and methods are not imported. So if you see this kind of underline, we comment this first. You can see commenting is out here. So underline is out here. That means it has not been imported. Contains property. So to import, use ctrl plus shift plus O. O as the key. I can use shift control shift O. It gets added and the return line goes. So second argument is the condition, which has to match. And there are a lot of conditions. You can see that condition types dot, we put ends with, contains, equals, matches regular expression, not equal to, not contain, not matching regular expression. You can see a lot of methods are there. These are the condition type methods. not method, these are called properties actually. Contains property, ends with property, equals property, expression property, matches regular expression, not contain, not equal, not matching regular expression, starts with. So you can use these. So I will use the equals part. And the third argument is the value of the property. So here we define the property, first argument, the property that we want to add. Here we define the value of that property. And the fourth argument is true or false, so this boolean. If true, we'll add the property. If false, will not add the property. So by default it is false. So if it is false, it will not add the property. So what property I need to use, that is what I'm trying to show you. So ID is already added to it. ID value is added. Probably I will use XPath. So I can use random text velocity to go and create the XPath. There is a form out here, the ID value is this, I'll create from here. /form user at the rate ID value is equal to slash the input tag. Input tag whose ID value is again quick search main. So this is the value. I'm directly putting it out here. And what is the format to add? If I go to the manual mode and check up, this will be ID, and I can choose actually add more than that. XPath I can choose XPHCTH, all small. So then go out here, go to the script mode, and this will be your XPath. Should be equal to this and should be true. Okay, added a new property. So in this particular reference, in this particular path, the property is kept by the ID value. I have taken only this portion. From this, I have taken this portion only. I am putting it to a new test object. I am creating a new object property with a reference variable new object and adding the property to that object. And then after that, once added, use this to type. Use this to type value of what we have typed earlier before adding, value of after adding. Once added, use this to type after adding in the same search edit box. So how will it basically do? What will happen? Nothing. It will first type this, where it is going to type in the same edit box. I'm added this particular property. Okay. So after typing this, it will also type uh, this one after adding. That is what is going to happen. And what do you need to do? Web UI dot find, what is this? Dot send keys. The same thing. I'll copy this. And the first portion and the second portion. Second portion will be after adding. This is what I need to type. Where I have to type is defined in new object, where the property is added. And after that, we can close the browser. Now you can go to the manual mode and check it up what is happening. Binary statement is added. Add property method is been added. Okay. After adding, you can wait and have a delay of now why I am showing you, the reason that I'm showing you this, that for example, if this property does not, if this property value changes, which property value? This property value defined out. It's ID value, right? Changes. You added one more property to it, right? So with this, it will be able to type it out here. So since this has not changed, it will type both before adding and after adding to the same edit box. That is the reason of showing you how to add. Otherwise, I need not show you. This kind of problem you will face, that you have added a particular ID value to type before adding. Now the ID value has changed, but you have added one more property out here. Okay, and with this added property, it is able to type. So I will just show you that this added property is working, and that is why it will type after adding. Let's see that. You can see this. And this after adding had been added only just to make you understand that you can add a property. If the earlier property value has failed because it has changed, you have added another property with its value, and you can see the same typing is happening. So even if one of the property value has changed, other property value will come into picture to work on it. And this is the scripting mode of it. You have see a binary statement, a new object is created. This is how it looks like. Left expression variable, new object is created. Operator is equal to and search edit box test object. And then this is added property value. You have added these properties. XPath condition type, XPath value and equal to true. But this is part of your adding a property. Next part is your what is this? Removing a property in runtime. So what I will do, I have added the property, right? Copy and paste it out here. I'll call this a remove property. So you can go to the, this is basically using, if you look at it, is using before adding, it is using search box, edit box. It is using this property object repository out here. This one. Okay, so I will remove this. So before this, I will go to insert before this baby white. There's something called as remove object property. See this. And what do you want to remove? You can specify that, and property name, property type, and the property value. I can remove the mm, remove the Bugzilla's what is the ID value? At the scripting mode, it looks like this. Remove property, it will take, you can see it takes the test object string property name. Okay, so I've added a property to it, right? So what I can do is open this. This is where I've added a property. So let me remove it from here. Directly I'll show you here. Control X. After adding, I'll not add, remove the ID property. I'll remove the XPath. So I will remove the dot remove. Remove object property. Why does it doesn't come? Dot remove test object property name. So the test object will be new object because this is what I added, and property name was XPath. Simple. This is how we remove it. If you look at the scripting mode, the scripting mode looks like this. Just remove new object. Which object you want to remove? XPath. Now why I'm removing the XPath? Because I want to show that even after adding, I can remove it at runtime. So when I remove it, this will not type this particular value after adding. The remove object property is one of the keywords out here. You have to give which object that you want to remove and what is the property of it. So I added up the property out here. That is why I'm showing the scripting mode. And I added up the property out here. And then I'm removing it. and then I'm trying to use the same new object to type after adding. This will not get typed. Delay of 25 seconds, and then you can close the browser if you wish to. Let me close the browser. Let's go to the manual mode. Twenty-five billion delays is not needed. 5 seconds delay is fine. Put it above. And close browser. Delay, I can increase it to 10 seconds. So what will happen because of this? It will not add that adding what? It will not add which it was adding before, right? This alert and all will come. New object, remove the object, delay. Why it is closure? Web UI dot send keys test object is a new object. I wanted to add this right after adding. Okay, and then you close the browser. Let's go to the manual mode. Add the object, remove the object, delay of 10 seconds, and then try to type. This will not be typed in, it will only type before adding. And then I think after this you can add a delay of 10 seconds before closing the browser. This will work fine now. This is the script mode. So you have added the object, you have removed the object, delay of 10 seconds, then it will try to type in after adding. This will be typed, should be typed in the same object. Before adding, after typing before adding, it will should type in after adding, but it will not type because we have removed it. So let's see, let's run this now. See, it is not typing after adding because we have removed the object. But after that, it is adding again. Why? New object is removed, right? Add the object. How is that possible? Okay. If I check out search object add, this is not added out here. I've added it at runtime, right? Since I've added the property and its value at runtime, and that is why you do not see it in your object repository. You only see the ID value of it. Fine. Then if I have removed it, what is the reason for it to type adding after adding to it? That's a test object added to a new object, adding the property to it. Remove object property. This is the object. This is the property value that should be removed. Sometimes I feel this has bugs or it is so slow. Before adding, after adding was added after adding the object. That has been removed. How it is then adding it out after removing it? The documentation adding an object menu as a managing parent object selection method. What is the attribute used? Remove object property. And test object. Okay. Class to that means they're saying that put it to a variable. Okay. This is also returning a object. If you look at it, it is telling you that remove property class a button. Remove object property and you have used which object did you want to. We have removed the new object xpath value and kept it to a variable and that variable has been called out here. We've called out this variable after adding. Let's see this is working or not. Before adding, remove the object kept to a variable. It is still adding it. Remove existing property of a test of the use when object has attributes changing at runtime. When object has attribute changing at runtime, this keyword does not modify the object saved in the object repository. It will not modify the object saved. Creates another test object, modify and return the test object. Variable. Must use a variable to store the returned object. Okay. Parameter type also is then why it is adding? Okay, I've added a new property called XPath, but I'm removing it out here. Removal will not remove it from the object repository. Removal of an object will not remove it from the object repository. Either the removal will create the removal object will be put to an object. So what I can do is, if I don't add the property, I will not add the property. Fine. New object is not there. Fine. Anyway, the before adding is getting typed on because the object repository contains the value, the property called as ID. Now this cannot be removed. Removal will remove it, but will put it to a new variable. So what I can do is that copy this portion, paste it out here, comma, comma, and the ID value. But this will not remove the ID value from the test object repository. The return type will be kept to a variable, and from there it will be removed. So let's see that if it is something like this. Why is the other one not working? Very absurd. Send key is after adding. Is it added? Not getting added. After adding has not got added. I just wanted to show you that I don't want to. This is ID value does not get removed. ID value is still there in the object repository. This cannot be removed even after using remove object property keyword. I just removed it and kept it to a variable. This variable gets removed, and that's why it is not printing out. But when I add an object, why it is not taking, I don't know. I'm adding an object to it called XPath and trying to remove it. It should not type. Very absurd. Okay, let's go to the add property portion. Mm, This is what is added. Out here. XPath is added. Then you have removed the same find test object. Instead of this, you have to actually remove this by the XPath. That is what I am trying to remove it, right? So what is the harm in this? I am creating it at runtime. There it is adding. Peculiar. So added property that you have added at runtime cannot be removed. This is add runtime added property, right? This cannot be removed. But I can add it. Let's call this removed and kept it to a variable, and this variable is used out here. So this will not be typed in. The ID value does not get removed actually. It is kept to a variable. The variable gets removed. This works fine. Okay, we'll check that later on. What I'm about to show you is update or modify, whatever it is. Modify existing property or add a new property to test object. So add a new test property we have seen. Use when test object has attributes changing at runtime. Use this keyword can be does not modify the object saved in object repository. Instead creates another object, test object modifies and returns this object. So usage of this is clearly defined out here. Here you are trying to want to modify the property XPath of the object, BTN login. Username, this is the BTM login. This is what you are modifying it. So at runtime, I'm modifying the object value of the XPath if it is changing at runtime. So modification I will show. Uh, Copy this, paste it out here. Update property doesn't open. Go to the script mode and show you again. Uh, like what it has said, modify the XPath of login button, modify test object property. So instead of this, what you need to, if you go to the manual mode, here where we have used the removed object, and this is a removed object property. Like this, you have something called as the modify object property. You can use it directly. Okay, but to show you in the script mode rather, let's go to the script mode. So here I will basically use, and if you look at, it is kept to a variable again. I'll call this as test modify object. This will be test object, string property name, matching conditions, modify value, boolean active. You want to modify it, modify boolean active should be true. Test object, I want to use the same test object. Property name and then matching conditions. Property name is ID. The ID is kept out here. Matching condition, you have to use condition type dot equals matching condition, and then what you have to give, modify the value. The what is the ID value right now? This will not actually modify the value that is kept in the object repository. Value is this, right? I'll copy it. I will, or what I can do is that I can change the value to, there's a search box out here also, right? So inspect it, change the value quick work search button. I can modify the value to uh, this, and false, I make it true. That will modify the value. Okay, and then we'll see that this will be modify object, right? Where it is typing after adding, we'll see that. Has it modified the object? If it has modified, we'll type it in the respective position. Let's see that. So I have modified it. Before adding is added there. Fine. This is coming from the object repository. Now I have modified the ID value. I've taken the ID value of below search button. Where it is adding, we will need to see. Where it is typing rather. Where it has failed. skip mode. ID value condition equals quick set bottom true. That is what it wants, right? Property name ID matching condition equals modify value to quick search bottom is active true, fine. Modifying this one, but we have kept it to a new test object. You have to keep it to a test object as defined out here. So page next path equals what I see. One more is condition type equals. Instead of this, I can give the equals. I didn't say destroying pass. It is added there because the after adding. But remember, this modification is basically done to just show you that the modification is not going to permanently rectify the object repository. It is still ID equals this. It's not quick search bottom. The modification is kept to a variable, test object variable, and that a variable is used to type out here. Okay. So this is sometimes needed for you to basically work with properties, and you can add properties that run. These are all nothing but you're modifying properties at runtime. That means it is not modifying the property value in the test repository of Katalon. At runtime, it is keeping it and using it. Modification of property value, adding a property value and remove a property value at runtime. Very important. Sometimes when the property value keeps on changing, you can use this. Okay. So tomorrow when I take up the session, I would like to basically finish a couple of things. One is, let me tell you what is the agenda for tomorrow because I want to finish it up right now. We are in this particular mode right now. So we'll do assertions, verifications tomorrow, file upload. And if it is possible, test suite also. These two definitely. And whatever we can do out this position. Can do that. After file upload, how to handle error exceptions. and calling test cases, data-driven testing, advanced implementations like Excel Writer and continuous integration with Jenkins and all. These are easy. And I will check up that calendar part. Is it fine?
Okay, Kaushik, fine. Can you just tell Poonam to share the video by today itself?
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Kaushik?
I can hear you.
Yeah, because there's some coding again we need to practice it. So if we
We
have
have
any
all
doubt, then we can ask you tomorrow before the session.
we have got all the earlier videos, right?
Yeah, only today's pending. So if she can send it now, we'll practice in the morning, and if any doubt, we can ask you in the
Video will
session.
take 1 hour to convert. After 1 hour, I will send it to you.
Okay, fine.
I will send it to Poonam. I'll tell her to upload it.
Yeah, if she can upload it today or early morning
So you
tomorrow,
want
then
the script also, right?
yes, exactly. Because we have a search option in our project for which we will use this logic and we'll try to work on it. So if any error, we can ask you tomorrow itself on this.
Okay, I will send you the script right now. Video, I will send it to her and I'll tell her to upload.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, thanks.